Oh, good Friday morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in Larry McKee on DIG, digging the grooves, playing that rock and roll radio kind of music. And we have a special guest this morning that's going to spend some time with us. We've been talking about him all over the radio and other places for the last few hours. We got to remember that you're going to be we got to remind everybody where you're going to be for lunch today too, and we got to do that. We got plenty of music for you throughout the day, but we got the special guest business. We want to take care of that first and get him on the radio. He was just telling me that the last time he and I were together was a dozen years ago. That's hard to believe.
Larry, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm sorry to bring you this rainy weather, but we're going to try and brighten things, and I love it when you open up with Sweet Home Alabama.
We do it every day.
That's the way to kick in a Friday morning. So good to see you.
Well, good to see you too.
You still look like a spring chicken. 12 years have gone by, and years have been good to you.
You know what? I like the way you sound this morning. I don't believe a word of that.
No, I'm serious, and I like that hat you're wearing too.
Well, I've been wearing these little hat things for a while now. I guess they call them beanies or something. I don't know, but I started wearing them a few years back. A friend of mine had one, and I saw it, and I go, I gotta have one of those.
You look like a British squire.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. You look mighty good yourself. You don't look. You haven't aged.
Well, I don't know, but I may not look it, but sometimes I feel it. I'm 60 years old.
Yeah.
So when we were together, I was 48 years old, and let's see, since I've seen you, I have I have 3 adult children. They're all married. And
met one of your daughters the other day over here in Dothan. I've got it recorded on the
Sarah, that's my youngest,
Mm-hmm.
and so we have 3 grandbaby boys, and they are the joy of our life, as everyone knows that has grandbabies.
Well, I have 2 granddaughters, and they both have had boys. One of them had a little boy just about 2 weeks ago, and today's her birthday.
Oh,
She's
boy.
celebrating her. She's 29 today.
Well,
So, and
congratulations.
so we have 2 great grandsons. My wife and I do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now I haven't gotten there yet, but
Well, you will if the
I hope so.
Oh, yeah, I hope you get there
I
too.
hope so.
I know you've been out politics. How's your dad now?
My dad is good. He is 87 years old,
Yeah.
and he is well, and he's watching this campaign, and
I bet he
he's in good shape. Good, so we're very fortunate and blessed.
Mm-hmm. He's a wonderful guy. We go back a long way. I remember, and I'm sure you do too,
Yeah.
when the last time he was governor, him and Chris Bentz,
Oh, sure.
got together, and they came down to our radio station. Chris called one day. He said, "How would you like to have Governor Fobb come down and spend an hour with you on the air on the talk show?" I go, "Man, that would be lightning."
Right.
Be lightning.
I remember that. Of
And
course.
he
Yeah.
came down and he liked it so much.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, got Chris to call back, and we started trying to put together that statewide thing for him. And
The radio show.
yes, sir.
I remember.
Mhm.
I know it.
He did a statewide radio show, and he had fun with it, and he
Yeah.
was good at it,
Right.
and it was a way for him to communicate with the people of Alabama, and he liked it.
It turned that election.
It sure did.
He had they called it Fob James Live,
Mm-hmm.
and he'd take calls. Anybody they could call in and cuss him out, and he'd say, "Well, thank you for that."
Appreciate it.
And
we were trying to get ready to broadcast him live the first time.
yeah,
And we're not the biggest operation in the country, but we have our listeners are adults. We go to them on purpose, and they vote,
Right.
and they care about politics. But the machine that would do that from Dothan to around Alabama was like at that time $10,000 or $12,000, and that would be a major investment for this radio station. And I called the people that manufactured that product. It's called Comrex.
Uh-huh.
And I called them and I said, "Yeah, the governor wants to come down and do an hour talk show, and I want to be able to spread it around the state of Alabama. And I was wondering, would you rent me that for like a day or a week or something, that machine? Would you rent it to me?" He goes, "Who's the governor you talking about?" I said, "Governor Bob James from Alabama." He said, "No, we don't rent it, but I tell you what I'll do. You have Fobb mention my name on the radio that day during the program, and I'll ship it to you.
Yeah.
You can use it and ship it back to me when you get it done with it." And he did that, and that's how we did that.
How about that?
Yeah.
How about
And
that?
Bob said something like, "I want to thank the folks at Comrex."
Right.
That was
Right.
about it. But That was a lot of fun back in the day, and I don't know about politicking now, but I tell you something I do know, Tim. It's changed a lot, hasn't it?
The world's changed,
Yeah.
Larry, in many ways, and not for the good. The nation, I never, just to kind of go back down memory lane for your listeners that may not remember. I was in that 2010 race, and when of course, we met, and of course, I remember my dad loved coming down in this, and I just remember him talking about it.
Yes.
And I've never thought I would do it again. I'm way past wanting to be governor just to be governor. Kind of outgrown it.
Yeah.
And started a company with my son and my two son-in-laws about 4 years ago to build infrastructure. And but about a year and a half ago, I began to get a pull, like sort of an unction, or I guess a call to come back into politics. And I'll tell you a true story. I told Angela, my wife, we've been married 38 years, and I guess she's going to keep me at this point. She got too much invested.
You're right.
And I told her, I said, honey, I think we need to think about this governor's race. And she said, well, you need to think about a new wife. So, and that's a true story. But we really did. We really began. I said, these sorts of things at this stage in my life and the history and where I come from, I was resistant. But you have to, and we took it before the Lord, and you have to obey. And in December, or at Thanksgiving, and then December, my family, all my brood, we got together and decided that we were going to run and get in this race late. That's late for a governor's race. And the reason for it, Larry, is I think the nation is hanging in the balance. That we've been on a decline, really, if you want to know the truth, half century. And we're under direct assault. The foundation of the nation, our Judeo-Christian foundation, our culture, is being assaulted. And what it is it's Marxism. And what Marxists do, they're very patient and they're very smart, is they destroy a nation from within in what we call the areas of influence, and media and education and all these things. And so people have become very aware over the last 2 years of the overreach and all these things coming at us with the crazy forced mandates and force children to wear masks against their parents' will. But this stuff is not new. This is just part C of a movie that's been played since the 60s. And I believe if good people do not engage, who really understand this, we could lose the nation.
Right.
And so that's why I'm sitting here in front of you, your handsome 80-year-old self with that handsome British topper. And while we're talking about, we're in a moment that really matters. This is not a game.
No, it's not a game.
It's not a game. It's very serious. And this is about our children and our children's children. And I'm just a man. I'm just a vessel who happens to possibly understand this stuff, not necessarily deeper, but at different angles or in different perspectives. But every person, I guarantee you, listening to your show right now, knows in their gut, in their spirit, that we have a real issue in the nation, and even in this state, and that if we do not do what we can and play our part to engage and turn this thing around, we could lose it all.
I think you're absolutely right. That is one of the reasons I'm sitting out here at 80 years old, because I feel like that we need to try to get as much information to as many people as we can to get them to get involved. And if we don't do that, we're going to lose it. If you don't mind if I'll drop back again and go into history that involves your dad.
Oh, please.
Yeah. We were down here in Dothan, and somebody, and I honest to goodness don't know who it was, but somebody said something about we're no longer going to do Christmas songs, and the high school band, the Dothan High School Band, can no longer do Christmas songs, and it got to be, somebody got it to us, and we got it panicked out and trying to get the message out about it and do something about it. And your dad, we got up with him. I don't know if we called Chris or who we called at the time, but that really didn't matter, but we called him. And basically his response was, not while I'm governor. That's not going to happen in Dothan, Alabama. And the next thing we know, we get a phone call. Your dad's down here at a local motel, and he calls a press conference for like tomorrow morning at 9 or 10 o'clock. And we go over there, and when I get there, that place is packed. I've never seen as many people show up in one spot as they did that day.
Right.
And the newspaper was there, the TV stations were there, and we were standing in the back, trying to see over the crowd. And he got up there, man, and he made a talk. Your dad, the neat thing about him over the years has been, he is just so serious about it. I mean, he don't play. I mean, but he just straight to the point, and he said, "It's not gonna happen. No, we're not doing this." And that's that many years ago,
right?
And it was going on stuff like that. But he stopped that cold.
Well,
I mean, cold.
So he did, and my mother, I guess, in many ways, is the spiritual sort of leader of our family, and it affected all of us, including Dad. Plus, we were all about scared of her, including my dad. She's an Irish redhead, and she's 87 as well. Her health is not good, so we're dealing with that.
My wife is from Gaffney, South Carolina. She was actually born in a place called Cowpens, where they had the battle.
I've heard of that.
She was born in Cowpens, South Carolina, and she's got a lot of Indian blood going on.
Yeah.
So we don't mess with her much either.
I got it. But you mentioned school prayer, so this is a timely conversation, if you'll allow me.
Sure. This is your time.
Well,
I'm
so right now the issue of Roe versus Wade, abortion on demand. So as you know, in 72 or 73, the Supreme Court of this nation basically took jurisdiction over abortion. It's not a federal question; it's a state question, and they determined that abortion would be the law of the land, unconstitutionally. This is the very definition of what overreach is, and in since we've had about 70 million unborn children, lives have been snuffed out due to the hands of abortionists. But the attack really started in the early 60s in a case called Vitale versus Engel. And in Vitale, the Supreme Court woke up one day after almost 200 years of history and being in alignment with our Constitution, and said, we're going to remove prayer from schools. That was in 62. That was the year I was born. And so when we did that, when this was allowed to happen, and we removed prayer from schools, all hell has broken loose in our public schools across this land. A decade later came abortion. So the first attack, this is Marxist. They know what they're doing.
Sure they do.
We're gonna attack. There's always children. They're attacking children, and they're attacking God and things of God. So we remove prayer from our schools so our children can't be exposed from it.
Right.
Now we're going to devalue life and the very nature and the character of God. And then even again in 2016, you had a case called Obergefell, where the Supreme Court wakes up one day and says, we're going to redefine marriage, and anybody can get married, same sex or whatever. So all of these issues are state issues. They are not federal questions. Everyone has been focused on overreach since Biden. This has been going on for half a century. We're going to reverse this. This is going to change. Roe is going down. The prayer case, Vitale versus Engel, is going down. We are going to put voluntary prayer back in our public schools. Coaches are going to say to their boys before a football game, all right, boys, hit a knee. We're going to say the Lord's Prayer. We are going once again to have an invocation over the intercom. We are once again going to allow Bible verses to be read over the speakers in our public schools. This is a constitutional right. this lie that's been told in this nation that there's something called the separation of church and state. It does not exist in our Constitution.
No, sir, it does not.
In fact, it was the opposite.
It was a letter to the Dansbury Baptist.
Exactly.
That's what it was.
It was a lie that's been used, and these are state questions. Now, some states will, and some states
Well,
won't.
that's fine with me.
That's
as long
the way
as we do.
Exactly, and that's the way the Constitution was drafted. That was the intent, and it has been subverted for the last half century.
Do you believe that we had a Supreme Court nominee, or was trying to get nominated to the Supreme Court, that was asked a question of the definition of a woman, and she didn't know it, or she didn't give it, or whatever her reason was? Can you believe that in America?
It's beyond anything.
No, I know you can't believe
that and you have this swimmer.
Yeah.
That's winning all the girls' swim meets, and it's a male.
Mm-hmm.
And let me touch on that, because there's a situation here in Alabama. You may have seen our ads. We're talking about it.
Yeah.
So KIV funded the first transgender or LGBTQ school, public school, with $2 million of your state tax dollars in Birmingham, and no one knew about it. And the only reason we learned about it is the school themselves posted pictures of the teachers and the faculty putting on a drag queen show for the children at the school. This is abuse. These are sixth graders. These are children. And you have the people in authority. It'd be as if the principal and teachers at a local Houston County middle school putting on a drag queen show in front of children. It is indoctrination of our little ones. And these children are struggling with their identities. And when you drive up to this public school, it's called the Magic City Acceptance Academy. When you drive up to the school, there's a flagpole just like every other public school in the state of Alabama. They're flying the American flag, and attached to it they're flying the rainbow LGBTQ plus. Now, Larry, I don't know what the plus is.
I don't either.
Flag attached to it. Yeah. And this is in Alabama, so, anyone that thinks this is not in Alabama, this attack on our culture, that's in California or that's in New York. It's right here in Alabama, and there's only 2 of these schools in the United States. This was the first one in the South, and it's in Alabama, and it has been funded by the leadership in the Republican Party in Alabama, and the bill was signed into law. The funding was signed into law by the governor of Alabama. Got to stop. I will shut it down. I will not allow these children to be exposed to this. You see, it's a lie. These children, they're struggling. They were created in the image and the character of God. And we will show them tremendous compassion, and we will show them love, but we will not come into an agreement with a lie. And that's exactly what's happening.
I saw your new commercial on that the other day, but I couldn't believe it. I mean, I just couldn't believe that we had gone here in our state that far. If you watch because I've been in advertising all my life, I'm interested in the commercials and the way they're shot and the copy that's used and all that kind of stuff. But I saw that, and then I said, we didn't really do that.
It takes about.
I'm sure KIV didn't do that.
It takes a week to digest it. So when you heard it,
I hadn't digested. I guess
it takes about a week for it to really sink in. Then you're going, "There's no way this is a campaign ad." And then you're thinking, "Is James? There's no way James would make this up and lie." Because it's so out there that you can't believe it, that it's actually going on. And it is. And they have attacked me relentlessly. The emails and phone calls coming in with the national LGBTQ lobby and agenda. We're talking
the big dog.
Crazy radicals have come after me like you wouldn't believe, because we're going straight at the core. We're not blinking. We're going to end it are not going to put up with it in Alabama.
Well, I saw this commercial that Kay has where she was talking about she had banned this stuff. I think it was with sports teams or something.
Right.
And I thought, well, how could she do that and then turn around and take my money and your money, and we got a couple of guys in the room here with us in the studio, their money and everybody else's, and everybody I'm talking to that pays taxes in the state.